Good morning, gang. Happy Thursday. So, thought I'd sit out on the porch here for Wednesday evening here because I've got to cool down. Like the title says, when it hits home. Okay. Now, a lot of you guys were here around New Year's, and I had put up a video of 10 things I expected to happen in 2021. And number 10 was war. And in that video, I said I wasn't worried as much about a world war as I was about a civil or revolutionary war. Okay. Now, a revolutionary war in the U.S. would be blue versus red. A civil war in the U.S. is going to be black versus white. Okay. And where Native Americans, Hispanics, Asians fall in, who knows? Okay. But that seems to be what's going on. Now, anybody who's paid any attention to what's going on in the world knows all this crap that is being published with critical race theory and trying to teach it in the schools that, all Caucasian people are bad. Racism is systemic. White people are born racist. The only reason the United States ever got anywhere is because of racism. I mean, it's the biggest crock of shit in the world, okay? And I'm not trying to single out a race. I'm trying to single out people. And the reason I say that specifically is one of the men in history that I respect more than anybody else is Martin Luther King. Okay? Judge a man by the content of his character rather than the color of his skin. Now, I was raised to treat everybody equally, no matter what. Some of you who've been around for a while know where I grew up, okay? Till 7th grade in Chicago, and then I did high school in Michigan. The area I was in Michigan had a very heavy Jewish population and a very heavy Chaldean population. I was definitely the minority as the Protestant white guy, okay? Didn't matter. My best friend was Jewish. My brother's best friend was Chaldean. Didn't care. We got together, it's like, gave my friend Christmas gifts. He gave me Hanukkah gifts. That was it. It was all right. So be it, whatever it would be. Then I move off after graduating high school and spend my time in the Army, right? And you've heard me say many times that color doesn't matter in the military. You all bleed, as the Army put it, at least, we all bleed green, okay? And, the Marines could be blue and the Navy could be white or whatever, but the Army, we all bled green, okay? Didn't matter. We had black guys, Hispanic guys. I don't think we had any Asian guys in my platoons while I was there, okay? But black guys, Hispanic guys, no big deal. White guys, obviously, right? And we were all friends, We all had each other's back no matter what. I remember one time when one of my friends, who I was renting an apartment with because there wasn't any room in the barracks, who was Hispanic, by the way, we had an issue with a couple of people in our apartment complex, and these guys were threatening, if you will. And they're like, we're coming over there and everything like that. And Tony and I made a couple of calls, and next thing we know, we had 15 guys over, and there was a table full of weapons. And those two guys came over and knocked on the door, and we opened the door and said, can we help you? When they walked in and saw 15 guys and more armament than you'd have, in a normal situation, let's just put it that way. And they kind of left pretty easily because they knew they were toast. All right. But again, we were all black, white, Hispanic, whatever it would be. So I see all these stories on racism and critical race theory, and I mean, God knows we've all seen the stories on, for the last, 6, 7 years now, after Colin Kaepernick kneeling for the national anthem and all this crap, I used to be a huge football fan, a huge baseball fan. Never really cared about basketball, just wasn't my thing. Okay. I can't follow the sports anymore at all. I mean, it's, not because of who the players are, it's because of what the players stand for. Again, because I'm judging a man by the content of his character and not the color of his skin, okay? I care less if Colin Kaepernick identifies as white or black this week, okay? The content of his character is crap to me, and so therefore, done. So I had an interesting situation at my job today. This is where I say it hits close to home. Now, those of you who've been around for a while know what I do. Okay, I'm a corporate recruiter. I recruit IT people. Now, in the IT world, there, for the most part, you have Caucasian people, a lot of Indians, and a lot of Asians. Okay, that's just the way it is. Those happen to be the ethnicities that study IT. Okay. Not all of them, but I mean, that's probably 95% of it, okay? But that's also probably 95% of the world. So it works out about accurate. So I had a position that I was assigned yesterday that's in Greensboro, North Carolina. And it was for a entry-level basic help desk person, okay? I mean, and for those of you who aren't IT, I'll explain this to you real quick. This was somebody who would help managers and executives reset their password or clear their cache and their cookies out of their computer, or if they had to sync their work email to their iPhone or their Android or something like that. I mean, relatively simple stuff. Okay, this wasn't, rebuilding a network if the network crashed or anything like this. This was an entry-level position. Didn't even require somebody having a degree in IT. Just had to be somebody that was knowledgeable about basic computer repair, I guess, for all intents and purposes. So, as a recruiter, my job is to find candidates, screen them, talk to them, find out, why they're looking for work, see if they're interested in the position, make sure they're qualified, find out what their salary requirements are. Okay, that's pretty much what my job is. Okay? The finding the people is the hard part usually. So I had found a few people today. All right. 2 of them were women. 1 of them was a guy, all in the Greensboro area. All right. Called all 3 of them. All 3 of them were interested in the position. Okay. The 2 women, one said she was looking for $40,000 as a salary, $20 an hour-ish. The other woman said she was looking for $50,000, $25 an hour. Okay. I get on the phone with the guy. The guy is an immigrant from Nigeria, so black gentleman, African-American. I mean, true African-American. He actually comes from Africa, okay? And he is a U.S. citizen, so that was fine. So I talked to him about the position and asked him the same questions, what he's looking for. He wanted $65,000 a year. And I told him, I said, that's not going to happen. I said, the competition for this position is, significantly less, So he says, well, maybe I can do 60. And I said, well, again, and I told him at this point, I said, I've got 2 other candidates, one looking for 40 and one looking for 50. And I mean, anybody knows anything about companies are going to try to find the person who can do the job at the least cost. I get that, okay? I've been recruiting for almost 20 years, so it's not like it's news to me. So he goes, okay, put me in for 50. Like, all right, so he's dropped his salary requirement from 65 to 50, which is normal in my business. People always have, how that guy put it, champagne wishes and caviar dreams. Hey, we all love to make $1 million a year. It ain't going to happen. So I put him in at $50 an hour. So I had a woman at 40, a woman at 50, and a guy at 50. Sent them all over to the manager. And in my email to the manager about this guy specifically, I wrote, he is highly qualified for the position. The only concern I have for him is his salary requirement because he started at $65,000 and he came from 50, and he settled on 50. Now, in my experience, when people do that, that usually tells me they're desperate for work. They will take anything. But as soon as somebody calls them with a higher paying job, they jump. Okay, and I don't blame people for doing that. Right, but I'm being paid by my company, and y'all know me. I'm going to be brutally honest with anybody and everybody about everything. Okay, I'm not one for liars, cheaters, and thieves. You know that. So about an hour later, I get an email back from the manager. He wants to interview the lady who's at $40,000, the lady at $50,000, and the gentleman at $50,000. I shouldn't even use the term gentleman. You'll know why in a second. The guy at $50,000, he says, "I'm sorry, we can't afford them. We're out. My budget is $42,000 for this position." Fair enough. Okay. So I reject both the lady and the gentleman. About 15 minutes later, I get a phone call from this guy. "Why are you rejecting me?" I said, "I didn't." I said, "The manager did. You're over what his budget is." I said, "He told me now he can pay $42,000 and you asked for $50,000. He goes, "Well, I'm a black man and I'm a U.S. citizen," and blah, and I'm like, "And that's fine. And I submitted you at what you asked for, $50,000, and he rejected you." So he comes back, he says, "Well, okay, submit me at 36. I said, "Okay." I said, "If you're willing to come down that far," I said, "I'm happy to go ask the manager. It's their decision, not mine." Okay. So I send it to him, so I tell him I'll send it over to the manager, and he proceeds to continue to berate me. "You should have told me this in the first place." I didn't know. Okay. Managers don't tell me that. They tell me find out what the candidates are looking for, what the applicants are looking for. If I were you, the way you should do your job, everything. And, he started getting very belligerent and very loud and yelling at me and all this. And I said, "Sir," I said, "I'm not in a position to tell a Fortune 500 company how they should do their hiring. They pay me, I do what they ask me to do. That's it." Okay. He keeps going and going and going and starting to scream at me. And when he dropped the term racist at me, I terminated the phone call. And that was it. He called back, and again, and again, and again, and I had blocked his phone number. Okay. Y'all have seen me mad one time in 9+ months I've been on YouTube. And that was when the guy questioned my service. Okay. I've got a pretty thick skin. I don't get upset about much. But when you question my character, I get real pissed real fast. And you guys have seen that. Okay. So I had deleted him, and I was stewing at this point. So I had immediately contacted my manager and told him what was going on. My phone rings. Again, I'm talking to my manager on a Skype call over my computer. My phone rings. Okay. It's now from a different area code. I answer the phone. It's this guy. "You racist, you criminal, blah, blah." Click. Okay. And my manager heard a couple of seconds of that. I said, "That's what I'm getting." Okay. So I explain everything to my manager. Phone rings again from a different phone number. This time I don't answer it because I'm talking to my manager. I didn't recognize the phone number. So I listen to the voicemail. Again, "You're a racist, you're a effing criminal, yada, yada, yada." Okay. Now, I get with my manager. I tell him everything that's going on. I said, "I've just got more phone calls now from 3 different phone numbers." I said, "The guy's calling me a racist. He's calling me an effing criminal, et cetera, et cetera." I said, "This ain't," and I copied him on the email chain that went through where I had sent to the manager saying, "This is a qualified candidate." Okay. Now, what I get a kick out of is for other positions, I've got 3 candidates interviewing tomorrow, right? Okay, tomorrow, or today. Actually, for you guys today. For me, it's tomorrow because I'm doing this Wednesday night. There is a Korean gentleman, a black woman, and a Jewish gentleman. How would I know that? Well, I've talked to him on the phone, and when you have a Korean last name, a Jewish last name, or I've spoken with the woman. And of course, I look at everybody's LinkedIn profiles when I'm recruiting them. Yeah, I pretty much know. Okay. So, manager's like, oh, okay. As I'm on the phone with manager, my texts on my phone start going off. And this guy sent the foulest, cruelest. He says, you told me that this was a executive support position. In other words, meaning you don't want any N-words. This is a guy looking for a job and sending this to me. Okay. Now, company's backing me up. Of course, we had to talk to legal. We had, 3 hours worth of going through all this crap. But this is, and I did my best to maintain my composure, and I did pretty good, I think. All right. But of course, Mrs. P is usually the one who bears the brunt of it, because when the phone hangs up and there's no more Zoom call, that's when Pinball gets to go ballistic. Okay. And not that I hit anybody or break anything or whatever, but I can get very loud. All right. And, I could make Angry Prepper blush with some of the words that come out of my mouth. But this is my point. This is what has been cultured into society in the last few years. Victim, 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 victim. This guy wasn't rejected because he was African American. This guy wasn't rejected because he was an immigrant. Okay? I'd love for somebody to say, I'm anti-immigrant. And I'd parade Mrs. P right up in front of him and say, excuse me, I married an immigrant. Thank you. This had nothing to do with it. Race had nothing whatsoever to do with this. The guy was asking for too much money. That happens a lot. It's probably happened to a lot of you. I know it's happened to me. I've interviewed for jobs. I told them what my salary requirements are. They said, you're out of our budget. Okay, fair enough. I get it. As I joke in my career all the time, I said, a company can want a CFO for $10 an hour all day long. They're never going to get one, but they can want it. Okay. Same thing with a candidate. You can have a career as a burger flipper your entire life and want a $250,000 job. You're never going to get one, but you can want one. Right. So that's kind of where it went. But this is what I'm saying. This is where society is. My manager eventually talked to this guy. And the guy made the comment. He goes, well, I'm not looking to sue, insert client name here. And my manager told me that. And I said, that's exactly what he was looking for. He had no intention of getting the job. He's trying to create something where he can sue somebody. Now, fortunately, I wasn't born yesterday, okay? And I make sure I've got all my bases covered via email. So there's a written documentation of everything. And like I said at the top, when I emailed the manager of, this gentleman is highly qualified, explain to me when he's standing up when he's talking to an attorney and says, well, here's the email he sent to the manager. And the attorney's going to look at him and go, so how was he being racist when he called you highly qualified? Explain that one to me real quick. Okay, end of story there. But this is my point. This is where society has gotten to, is it doesn't matter if you're qualified, not qualified, you want the world, whatever it would be. We have too many victims in this world. He felt that he deserved this job for the simple reason that he applied. Doesn't matter that the other two people had equal qualifications and wanted less money, okay? No different than you and I going to the grocery store and go, gee, do we buy the box of, ABC macaroni and cheese or XYZ macaroni and cheese? It's the exact same thing, except this one's 20% cheaper. Which one do you buy? Okay. Same concept for companies when they're hiring people. They're the same quality. I'll get the cheaper one. Of course, no problem. And I understand that. That's my job. But when you have people that are bringing race as a quality, okay, that is a huge issue for me. And it gets me highly pissed off because I don't care in my professional life, in my personal life, if you are black, if you are white, if you are Asian, if you are Hispanic, if you are American Indian, if you are Eskimo, if you are Aborigine. I'm probably leaving some group out, but I think you get my point. If you are a good person, you got all the respect in the world from me. If you are a piece of shit, I will judge you on the content of your character. In this specific instance today, I have no qualms whatsoever whatever happens here, because I will judge this guy on the content of his character 100 times out of 100. Not the color of his skin, I don't care. But this guy is a piece of shit, period. And unfortunately, he is part of the new generation of victimhood who is going to find whatever reason we can, and in his case, it's going to be, I'm a black man from Nigeria, okay, so I can jump on the BLM bandwagon here, because he mentioned that too. What does it make a difference? What did he do? He lost out on this job. Of course, my manager, the hiring manager for this particular position, knows about it. The hiring manager's manager and the hiring manager's manager knows that. Manager's manager. My manager and my director know about this. I mean, this guy is persona non grata within the company forever because of this. Because every one of those texts, I've got copies of them, okay? Screenshots. By law, companies have to keep a file on any applicant. Yeah, I know that because what I do. Gee, this guy ever applies for another job, somebody opens up that file and says, oh, gee, look what he did last time. Nope. Goodbye. Okay. The other part is people talk. Okay. For the most part, doctors talk to doctors, VPs talk to VPs. Think of your friends. You surround yourself in social circles with people of similar circumstance. Okay. I'm not having dinner with Warren Buffett and Jeff Bezos. They're not in my social circle, but I will bet you that Warren Buffett and Jeff Bezos have had dinner sometime before. Okay. They'll talk. Okay. Well, so do recruiters. So do hiring managers. So do IT people. And when you get into a situation where your name is mud, you're done, okay? It's pretty easy to get crushed in a situation like this. But he decided that race was the reason he didn't get the job. It had nothing to do with it. But that's the challenge that we're going to face. And like I said, 6 months ago, I said, my biggest fear is either a civil or a revolutionary war. Either one can still happen. The World War could still happen too. I still haven't figured out which one is most likely at this point. I think it's about 33 at this point. But this one hit real close to home. And completely judging me on a fantasy pissed me off. And I think a lot of you guys who have been around here by now know that there ain't no truth to this, but that's the society that we're living in. And I'm having a real hard time articulating what is in my head. But yeah, we have a victim class, which we all know, and we have a working class. Those are the only two classes. Well, and there's an elite class. Okay, so those are the three classes. Well, we can tell this guy was victim class, I was working class, and of course I don't have anybody that I know in the elite class, but this is what it is. That's the battle that's coming, guys. So just thought you'd be interested. This was one that hit close to home. I mean, this one hurt, okay? I've been doing this for 18 years. I've had people cry on my shoulder because they didn't get a job. I've had people cry on my shoulder because they did get a job. I've had crazy things happen. Never in my career, and I can't think ever in my life have I ever been called a racist? And I think I'm pissed, don't get me wrong, but I think I've done pretty good maintaining my composure, because that's about as high as an insult as I could have. It's right there equal to the John Teller video. So it affects all of us, guys, and just be aware, because you never know where it's going to come, and all of a sudden somebody's going to throw this one at you, and you got to, on your feet, figure out, how the hell do I deal with it? I apologize for this video being almost a half an hour long, but that's a situation I think as preppers we really need to be aware of. I got nothing against any ethnicity in this country, in this world. I will judge a man by the content of his character every time. Have a good Thursday. Pinball out.